Outside the castle, Sabo was carrying a heavy wound on himself with heavy steps. Even the soldiers are chasing him. Fortunately, Sabo is hiding somewhere. When I remembered the matter that King Clover had said, determined to get out of this place. Let Luffy and Vivi know. From inside the grass, suddenly there was a sound coming out, and fortunately, it's just a rabbit. Sabo also felt safe to leave, and from behind, there was a soldier who suddenly came to attack him. On the other side were the 2 guards of the king. They are looking for Princess Via when he went to see the 5 elves. This worries everyone too, for both of you. And now, they decided to separate to find the Vivi and the Battle King. Bell immediately ran out and became a flying bird. Find Vivi and the Kier want to go inside looking for King Corona. Because there was no order, the soldiers didn't let them in. So he decided to push the soldiers inside. Outside, Mr. Kier is holding a paper to get by. But people don't know. On the other side, King Saki and the princess. The soldier wants to take them both to port. That's also Sabo. At the port, King Wapol and Vivi were trying to escape. The Marines. Fortunately, they both escaped the soldier and asked the cat to distract him. This caused the king and VA the Sixth to quarrel because it was almost discovered. Then we both heard about it. Take the royal family's luggage on board. Take advantage of this moment. King Wapol and Vivi hid in their luggage. And Sabo now has 2 Kier on board. And I don't know what the next step is. Suddenly you see the royal ship, and there's a way to escape. Vivi managed to escape into the baggage heap. It's being shipped. Then the train of the 4th king departed. Both are now safe. That Vivi calculates the next step. I'll tell the world what happened in Reverie. But if she reveals, King Wapol was sure your life will be threatened by the government, and he wants to give you to the Navy before it all comes out. But Vivi also knew that he didn't. I want to show up like myself. You shouldn't have the guts. He also felt right when he heard it. Because I've seen the dark side of the world. So it's extremely confusing. And then he took out the messenger snail and make sure that this information will not make that person seven. You also want to borrow it. And he said that this is a lifeline for both of us. So there's a phone call to the Morin postman. But the bird just wants to know information about the Reverie conference. But you have something more important. If you talk through snails, then King Wapol will immediately quail. That's why he wanted to suggest the bird. Arrange a hiding place for yourself. The bird accepted the request, and the ship is heading for the kingdom. LGS, so he asked for both. Don't make it easy for the people on board. The bird is more interesting. About the king's life, in danger. Then I asked about King Wapol, and he didn't want to talk about it. Here Vivea also told a story to King Wapol. CIP didn't arrest me, and even if you meet your people, they will arrest you by force. So you want to call your father. But King Wapol was screaming, I can't let her call. On the other side, Sabo's wanted photo are being searched everywhere. Kior side ship of the Tane Kingdom. In the cargo hold, Pony's sitting there, and he's hungry. At the bottom of the ship of the Kingdom of Lulucia, Sabo is holding his wound. Now he was only waiting for the Kingdom of Lulucia to be safe. And when I remembered the king's words, the more you try, crying in vain. Right now on board, Vivi was safe, and soon after, news of the assassination of King Google, the king of Alibaba, and the disappearance of Princess Vivi spread around the world. In the Holy Land, every one of the 5 elves were talking about Sabo's case. And suddenly the phone came, and it was Aimu. He's in the back of the garden inside the Panja castle, and he wants to use Mother Flame that Vegapang invented. After listening, everyone agrees with this. So let's decide what to do with Egate. Based on the results of that experiment, the test site are forested areas instead of at sea. It's in the Kingdom of Lulucia, but there's also a lot of people living there. That's why he chose that Kingdom of Lulucia. It's near the location. And then the plan was done, and the island was submerged, because in that kingdom, there are also some who show signs of rebellion. So they also chose that kingdom. There's one more thing he wants. This is Vivia. After listening to the 5 elders, they immediately prepared to go to World Naval Headquarters. A story about Admiral Cho with the rebellion in the Kingdom of Tane. And the kingdom is, after listening, he decided to send out Rez so all the navies are prepared, plus the release of Serafini. So, the Navy has been very busy abolishing System 7 and rebellions in many interstates. But this is also the beginning of the new Navy. Then, they're getting news of more rebellions. Happens in a row with the appearance of Crocodile on the island. Blog party, Kier Crocodile was alone attacked all the Marines. In the Kamapaga kingdom of the high seas. Sabo is talking about it. As soon as they all arrived in the kingdom of Lulucia, King Seiki and Princess Cumin were captured. For those who are waiting for them, King Seiki also screamed in helplessness at that. In the end, Sabo was welcomed by them. And that's when Sabo saw the newspaper for the first time and knew that he had been framed for the crime of the king. So you want to be quiet because you feel their growing thirst for revolution by the influence of Betty and others. So there were a lot of people in Lulucia want to join the revolutionary army. And they're the ones you brought here. When I remember that then she called out to everyone alone. And eventually Sabo couldn't get a snail. Encrypted transmission in Lulucia. So you can't call back. Let everyone know that Sabo made an indirect call as soon as we all set sail. And that's the call from the Kamapaka kingdom and the kingdom of Lulucia. Then, and you're sure the government has heard that and thought you were in the kingdom of Lulucia. But the fact that you went out with 5 people about the destruction of the kingdom of Lulucia, the people on board with Sabo were terrified. My family is still on the island. According to Sabo, there was a shadow in the sky, and right after that, it's falling, and it hits, and it can't be something biological or natural. It's a very dark thing flying above the clouds. About Inu's business. Where did Eva Kier hear about this? But of the 20 people who made this world 800 years ago, then there was a king named Saint Imu of the Nadona dynasty. And then she showed me a book and she said, we know there's a possibility to make one immortal in this world. But what this means is that the AI actually used it. That's the evidence. There's a man out there who doesn't know death. Maybe it's just a coincidence. When they have the same names as the 5 you can humble yourself before anyone else. Because they are the highest authority among the dragons, and who flatter themselves descendants of the gods. That's also the new surprise. But if something that Sabo saw destroying the country from the clouds, it's a government weapon. Only Vegapang can make something like that. But this made Dragon wonder. BECZ Vegapang wouldn't make such a blatant tool. People. But Eva thinks it's an ancient weapon. And if you're an ancient human alive, that makes sense. And Robin confirmed the existence of ancient weapons. But there's something else. Why do they use it now without using it? Right now, it's a dragon. He was executed in the Holy Land of Mary today. However, it will never be reported to the world. And the judge was a man. He used to work as a champion on an island named Heel Suitcase. He is now the commander-in-chief of the Knights Templar. Fie respectful. And the one who was executed was the one who protected the mermaid Myoskate sauce because it protects them. So he decided to execute him here at the House of the Gods. The actions of Fujitora helped the revolutionaries free the slaves, and that's clearly driving Ryo Kuju crazy. So they turned to fight. That's why the two kept yelling back and forth. And Ryoma Kuju couldn't stand it. Then take the initiative so he became a giant. Back to the room. I don't know how to reverie this year. Finished listening. Vivi also feels something like a pet. Looks like you've got to do something to get out of this. Suddenly, there's a noise coming from the wall. That's King Wapol. He's mad. He crashed down the wall and he loves you. Get out of here. And you don't know shit. And then he went crazy. Take Vivi and stab it straight. Until the Kier found out that there was also because she ran away. Out of his mouth came VVI. And he wanted to run as far as he could. That no one can stop. After listening, V accepted and wanted to go on with the other side. His wife, King Wapol, is also looking Suddenly from the distance his voice boomed. Then she ran back to her husband. I saw Vi coming out of my mouth. This made her mad, and when she heard about it, when I talked to VVI, she was in the picture for being cuckolded, and he ran away with his girlfriend.